welcome to an episode of Modern Bok. Thank you for joining me today. We're in the final, guys. It's here. The day we've been waiting for. It feels like forever now. 4 years of waiting, 4 years of champions. Just outstanding. I cannot believe we're here. But yeah. I think it's just a little bit of relief as a South African fan. Congrats to England, congrats to South Africa. I know it sucks for New Zealand, Wales, but both teams have to be outstandingly proud of the performances they put in this tournament. On New Zealand's side, no team has ever achieved what you've achieved, and you've got to take that to heart. 2 titles already is an amazing achievement. You continue to be the team with the longest winning streak in World Cup, 10 years at the top of the world rankings. It's just a testament to the growth that New Zealand has put into the game, and I give you a lot of credit for that. On the Welsh side, considering the player pool, considering the winning streak you had, the year you had, it's just unfortunate that it came unstuck so close to the end of the goal. Gatland is an outstanding coach, the team is great, and you guys are just a fun team to watch play. And I mean, you already had a 4-win winning streak over South Africa, and yeah, unfortunately, this was the game where it just didn't go your way. Overall, though, you guys have to really give credit. So I'm going to start the video by just starting with the bronze final. The match nobody wants to play, but I think it's going to be a cracker. So hear me out. So I've got the stats up here. It is a little one-sided. I'm not going to lie. It's New Zealand against the 2 teams. They definitely. New Zealand seems to meet Wales and decide to punch them a little hard. So, yeah, it's been a couple of very, very unflattering results to New Zealand for this one. Well, to Wales, anyway, unflattering. Very flattering to New Zealand. And, yeah, the last time they played, it was probably one of the closer ones in a while. But before that, it was a 40-point win, which is harsh. And, yeah, I don't know how this is going to go. This is definitely a different Welsh side, but it's always tough to predict a third, fourth playoff because, unfortunately, there's a lot of steam out of the team. It's a lot of oomph gone. And unfortunately, I think that might hurt Wales here. New Zealand just are, on a bad day, outstanding. So, yeah. That's the average difference is about a 12-point win to New Zealand. It's probably generous, in my opinion. Probably could be a little bit more. But this is definitely a very strong Welsh side. And very strong defensively. They were definitely cut apart quite impressively by the French. South Africa could not do that, and I think that's probably a credit to it is showcasing our attacking weakness, something New Zealand definitely doesn't lack. But hopefully, yeah, Wales can put a good performance up here. But let's get into the stats of this tournament. Both teams having very impressive tournaments. So, points scored, definitely New Zealand topping outstanding here. And also points conceded, Welsh side, definitely a problem. That's probably their biggest weakness in the tournament. They have conceded more points than any other team in the semi-final rounds. Again here, it's just unfortunate that they just could not defensively, especially even against the boot. But second half, they had a hard time just being able to not concede tries. To be fair, they have ground out very well. I mean, 19-point winning streak is no joke. And we cannot take that away from them. But New Zealand stats definitely look better for them. I mean, nearly double the clean breaks, having to make less tackles. You've got to worry about, better tackling success rate when they have had to make less tackles, and overall possession's been 50-50 for most teams, so that doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, that's why I think New Zealand's probably going to puncture hard here. They're not going to go for they're going to first seek revenge. They're annoyed, their country's annoyed. And to be fair, Welsh also, but New Zealand, when they seek revenge, ask Australia how that goes. A few weeks ago it happened and it was sore. So yeah, I think that the Welsh need to definitely very similar defensive effort to today, if not better. And I think they're going to have less of a forward focus in this game. Make sure that their forwards do punch up. They had a hard time punching past the South African defense in this semi-final. And that was something that helped the English a lot, as they kept on punching through, at least gaining 1 or 2 meters on every run, causing the whole New Zealand defensive line to have to filter back the whole time, not giving them the front ball that they need, and also hurting them in their ability to steal, as they were often rolling back or falling over when they tried to slow down that ruck. something that the Welsh, I think, are going to have a hard time countering. Although, to be fair, they did have very good play against South Africa in this last game, and also was stealing a lot of balls in open play, causing a lot of turnovers. So maybe that can utilise them very well. Let's get up to some matchups for this game. So, the matchups are quite interesting here. It's tough. I've gone for Alun Jones again, just because the guy is a stalwart for the team. He really is, and he's so important to their success. I've put him up against Whitelock. And to be fair, Whitelock is probably one of the best locks in the world. I mean, he has lock in his name, he has to be. But this last game against England was probably one of the biggest games where I felt I lost a little bit of respect for him as a player. He was starting to get very frustrated. And I understand, the emotion, the moment, the experience is all there, but it got the better of him and it hurt him. So I don't know if he's going to come back with a vengeance here. He might, but Alun Jones is definitely more of a... He's a fun player to watch. And he's I think, a very calm and collected player. He knows how to talk to a ref. That he's essential to a game play, especially if you want the ref on your side. So I understand why he's there. Whitelock, for me, he didn't give himself any favours in this last game. Quite frustrating. Definitely some stunning stats. I mean, his tackle success rate on the field is amazing. He's a runner. Look at those running meter stats. He's great. But unfortunately, you've got to take the mental game. And I think that last game hurt him. And he has to step out of that. And that's going to be important. Alun Jones, on the other hand, great defender. Not much of a runner, but mentally a massive player. He knows how to build up the Welsh forward pack, psych them up, talk to the ref in a very, very, very calming way. And he often gets the ref the decision to go his way when it's a 50-50, just for the way he handles the ref. Credit to him for that. Going on to the next matchup for this game. We've got Joe Moody versus Wyn Jones here. I know that that's not exactly a matchup, I have to admit, because of the props. But I wanted to actually just point out, well, it's not obviously 1 versus 1 side. So physically, it's not essential how they match up here. But what I want to see is the facing off. We have to admit, Joe Moody, one of the biggest things where the English hurt the New Zealanders here was this thing, and something that a lot of people are arguing. They had brought a smaller forward pack than they have brought in a while. It was definitely a more mobile pack. But England showcased the flaw in that, and probably where the holes come. I know a lot of people are talking about the Scott Barrett of it all, but I think he was probably one of the better players in the day. I mean, he was one of the only reasons Johnny May was stopped early in the first half. That would have been a try without him. I can't believe he kept up with Johnny May. And yeah, I think when their forward pack just couldn't hold off. They were punching and punching. And Joe Moody's a player where he needs to look at that. He needs to definitely look at it. Wyn Jones hasn't had a great tournament, but he has been consistent. Very, very, the scrums of the Welsh have been good, and they were actually quite strong against Africa, bar 1 or 2, but I mean, they did get a scrum off a try off a scrum, so you cannot argue with that. There's going to be an important matchup just to make sure that the New Zealanders can build confidence and build attacking play from that, because the English schooled them a little bit there. Next up, we've got Anthony Lienert-Brown versus Hadley Parkes. Now, interesting battle here. I feel Anthony Lienert-Brown, the boy wonder himself, has had a great tournament. And I mean, I can't even take away from his last game. There was just no forward attacking ball for New Zealand. So I'm not going to blame the backline for that. I think the forwards were one of the biggest problems that New Zealand had in this game. They mentally didn't pitch up and couldn't give the backline the ball they needed. And when they did, it was shaky. And I mean, credit to English defence for that. He tried a couple of moves. He did have some at sniping things, but games before that, especially the Irish game and all before, he was outstanding and continues to be. I mean, look at those meters run. One of the highest numbers in the tournament. Just amazing. He's still has an outstanding, even with that tackle success rate with nearly 90%. He beats so many defenders that in some countries would be considered a crime. It's insane. The guy is amazing. I think he rises above his physical ability with just the movement. And he's got many years ahead of him. This is just the first of his World Cups. He's got so much more talent to go. And Hadley Parkes, a little bit of an older gentleman, quite a bit. I think it'll probably be his last tournament. Maybe another one, but I doubt it. He's got something to show for it, and that's going to be interesting to see. A little bit of a under the radar attacker, just not being able to... He has given Johnny May and them good ball, but what am I saying? He has given the players out wide good ball, but at the moment, just not enough. Not enough of a performance from him. So we will have to see. We will definitely have to see. I am definitely going to shout to that Anthony Brown will definitely put his name up here to continue and build his All Black career. It's not over for him. There's many, many more years ahead for him, and he could be a legend. Cool. The big game. It's here, guys. It's here. The final of the Rugby World Cup 2019. Japan has been a host of note. I think few people could have expected the quality of the tournament they hosted. Yes, there was some incidents with a tsunami, all of those things, but the tournament still, the quality, the fan, the spectatorship was just next level. Outstanding. What a performance. Let's get into talk about this final. Congrats to both teams for getting there. So over the last 10 games, South Africa does technically have a one-up here, but very similar to our situation with Wales last week. We have a good winning streak and then a couple of poor performances with a draw in there, in between there, and obviously the last 2 games we've actually lost to England. Before that, though, things look a little bit better for them. But England are definitely on a hot streak here. To be fair, the last game is 1 point difference, which a win is a win. We knew it today. But the game before that is definitely a concern for South Africa. The last game was in last year, November, so it is relatively recent, and I'd say England are a stronger team than they were there, but so are South Africa. So that's the question, who's risen the most? England, interestingly enough, have had a poor year, and then this tournament just built every single game. Every game's been better. South Africa, in my opinion, have had a relatively good World Cup year, and I think some of our best games even before the World Cup. I don't think we've put the performance of the tournament in yet. We have, I'd say, this isn't none of our tournament performances here. Our tournament has been great and grinding, but I don't think any of our performances have been the best we could do this year. And that's the question. Is England going to bring it another level? And can South Africa put the performance that they actually can on the day? That's going to be important to see. So, the stats. Oh, sorry. Obviously the margin, 2 points to 2 points to England, just showcasing how tight it is, but definitely England, leaning England's way. Interesting thing here that we need to just address for a second. A curse that South Africa has to overcome in this game. No team has ever won the World Cup and lost a game in the group stages. That's fair. A curse England have to overcome. In the professional era, no team has beaten New Zealand and gone on to win the Cup. That's interesting. I thought that was quite interesting. Which curse is stronger? We will wait and see. Okay, so points scored South Africa, clear winners here from a comfortable group stages. The knockout stages, England definitely winning the points margin here, with much more points gathered in the knockout stages. In the semi-final, both the same, so not much more, but definitely more. The quarter-final giving a lot, majority of those. But the group stages giving a lot of points to South Africa. The runs, I'd say almost even. Clean breaks, South Africa having a little bit of a margin here, but I'd say it's actually pipped behind England definitely in the knockout stages with definitely more successful clean breaks and a lot better executed clean breaks in the knockout stages by England. Tackles, South Africa has made more tackles, showcasing especially in the semi-final here where they had not had a lot of possession and aren't liking to play with a lot of possession. Even the Japan game, possession we don't seem to like the ball. The ball can stay with the other team, we'll figure it out. They have so far, how long can they go with it? Tackle success though, where South Africa is definitely shining, although England are no slouches in that department either. As you can see again, there I was talking about possession-wise. England are definitely favouring possession, South Africa not. Which will win out here? Can England pierce the South African defence? Which, to be fair, no joke, they've done well. And I mean, to pierce the New Zealand defence is no... And they did it 3 times. I know fine, only one of those will try. But you cannot scoff at that. That's amazing. Let's get into some of the key matchups. We've got Itoje versus Etzebeth. I've mainly brought up Itoje this year because Itoje was just a monster in the last game. What a performance from him. He just demolished the All Blacks line out, stealing multiple balls. He was a nuisance throughout the game. Look at that tackle stat. That tackle percentage is incredible. Maybe not much of a runner, but defensively and just like getting your team to have the ball, he was a nuisance for days. And to be fair, on some of the runs he has made, 50 meters is no joke for a lock to perform more than almost double what Evanetsabet's done, just showcasing again. I think that this is going to be a key matchup, and to be fair, the whole lock setup is going to be huge because Laws is also world class. These two players will strike any team, and any team are lucky to have them. But South Africa's side, we also have, in my opinion, 4 world-class locks. It's going to be essential to see which team can do the best. So unfortunately, South Africa have now lost a line-out in this World Cup, and credit to Wales for doing that. But I've got a feeling South Africa's line-out could just pip this, especially in the last 20 minutes. But it is going to be a battle of note. Next one up, Johnny May versus Cheslin Kolbe. I know Cheslin Kolbe technically didn't play the last game, but I've got a feeling he's going to be battle ready for this game. And Mr. May himself is no joke. Overall though, definitely Kolbe has probably one of the best meters per run stats in the tournament, but Johnny May is not far behind with a 7.5 there. Tackle percentage almost exactly the same, but definitely Cheslin Kolbe's been asked to make quite a couple more tackles. Teams have been targeting that wing, and he's showcased that he is no joke on it. I hope he is back for the game. I know that everybody's saying Nkosi, and I agree. But you can see that he hasn't really played enough with the Springbok A teams. The main team that the Springboks are fielding at the moment, is defensive pattern. He was caught on defence a couple times, and while Wales exposed it, and I've got a feeling England will rip it apart. And I think Cheslin Kolbe just works better there. And he is also a lot better at regathering the ball. Nkosi had a couple of attempts at it, but just couldn't get there. I think Kolbe, even with his diminutive stature, would be able to be quite a nuisance in that field. And it'll be interesting to see him go up against Johnny May for sure. Both these players are probably 2 of the best wings in the tournament right now, and it's just going to be magnificent. Okay, next up, the last matchup. So I've gone for the Ford-Pollard matchup. I know every time South Africa I pretty much put up Pollard because he is one of the key players in our whole game plan. But I've also decided that in my opinion, looking at the performance, you have to play that Ford-Farrell combination again. Just as much as everybody arguing with Scott Barrett not bringing in, the Ford-Farrell combination worked like a charm. It cut that New Zealand defence apart. His kicking was pinpoint. Something Pollard and even Faftika cannot say they were not. Ford is by far the best kicker of the tournament in open play, just ripping apart defences with it, something South Africa needs to look at. And in my opinion, they need to employ the tactic that the English utilised against the All Blacks. When Richie Monga, another world-class tactical player, tried to kick them apart, tried to turn their defence. The way that the Johnny May and Watson were holding back, Elliot Daly also floating, ensured that as soon as that corner kick, that cross kick, all they did was they just ensured either push the player out or can retain the ball without having that full-on defence. Effectively meaning that you don't have your wings also rush up, they stay back in line and will counter that chip over kick. And I think that is an outstanding strategy they definitely utilised very well. Up against these two teams, two players, Ford has a better tackling percentage, a better kicking rate, and about the same meters run. Definitely Ford, in my opinion, has had a better tournament. Although Pollard seems to be coming into his own with 100% kicking rate this last game, definitely something we massively needed. And he is building. I think he's got his performances here. He's known to be a player under pressure that loves the pressure. And I think that this is the game where he will shine. With Farrell on the outside, Ford definitely has the comfort of knowing that he has a backup. He has a partner in crime in that sense. But De Arlander is just a machine in this tournament. He is the opposite of that. He is a player that Pollard knows to give the ball to in those tight positions where he will gain you 2-3 meters, if not a try. Look at the last game. And that's what I'm loving about that combination. With the added power of, to be fair, you're going against the Tuolane, which is just... Whew. So yeah, I think South Africa is... The best player that I could have picked for South Africa to face him, though, is Arm. He is by far our best defensive player. Tuolane is a monster, and he showed against New Zealand something that we're going to have to quell and shush a little. I hope we can. that backline from from England is no joke. Everywhere you look, there's dangers. South Africa, I think, have fewer dangers, but defensively have an outstanding pack, and it's going to be a case of can the defense of the attack of the one beat the defense of the other. We will see. But yes, guys, I will be bringing out a couple more videos on the analysis of this. Probably have a live video or two. Please comment down below. Please share. Please subscribe and all those good things. Let me know what kind of coverage you want. This is just my quick first breakdown of this game. It's going to be an amazing week. Let's build up to it. Thanks, guys. Cheers.